is Shelley and this is Shelley Fine Art. And yes, you did read the title correctly. So this is a discussion that I've been wanting to have for a while, but I've kind of been simultaneously excited to make this video and terrified as well. I guess terrified of the response, if there is actually a response. I feel like I can hear the comments already, but that's also assuming that anyone watches this video, so maybe I shouldn't be pumping myself up too much.
You want to get pumped?
But I still think that it's an important topic to talk about, so let's get into it. But before I get into the topic of the video, I thought it might be helpful to, I guess, give a bit of background on myself and my own art journey and my own struggles and setbacks, just to give a bit of context so that as I'm saying this, you know where I'm coming from when I am talking about this. So let's start with that. So my name is Shelley, but a lot of people just call me Shell, and I'm 36 years old. I live in Brisbane in Australia, and I am a self-taught artist. I also have multiple disabilities, both physical and mental. I'm autistic and I also have ADHD. However, I was not diagnosed with either until 2018. So I'm very much still figuring everything out. So I love all things art and craft. The room that I am currently sitting in is actually my art studio. I am lucky enough to have a room in my house that can be solely dedicated to doing my art, which has been a long time coming, so I'm really, really happy to have it. But besides art, I'm also really interested in science and astronomy and music as well. As for my history with art, as a kindergartner, I loved to paint, and I actually still have some of the art that I created from back then, which I will insert here or somewhere. As you can tell, they are absolute masterpieces. However, it wasn't long after this that I was actually banned from using paints at home because I decided to flick the paint on the exterior of our house and was therefore banned from using paints at home. And I guess I could have really seen this maybe hindering my interest in art or slowing it down, but it really didn't. I guess I've always been super stubborn. So I've always enjoyed art, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I was ever really gifted at it. I didn't excel at it, but I enjoyed it and I was okay at it. I was able to pass my art subjects, so that was enough for me. I often was really set in what I wanted to do in art, and I think that that tended to affect my grades and the amount perhaps that I learned, because I was quite rigid, and once I had an idea in my mind, I kind of just had to go with it. Once I got passionate about doing a particular thing or going with a particular idea, then I just ran with it, and I think that probably held me back a lot because I wasn't able to be flexible with my art. And it wasn't that I didn't experiment or try different things. I tried a lot of different mediums and using a lot of different processes. But no matter what the subject was or the assignment was about, of molding it into ending up doing something that I liked or enjoyed, as opposed to doing something completely different and being out of my comfort zone, I guess. I do remember hating one of my art teachers in particular, and ironically, part of her last name was Clay, which I thought was really funny. but I did feel quite restrained by her. Editing Shelley here. I just wanted to say, with regards to my art teacher, that I remember specifically we had this ongoing argument, myself and my art teacher, that I wanted to do a sunset scene, which I think I still have a photo of. I think I'll include it. And she kept saying to me, because I wanted to have trees in the foreground and then have the colors of sunset behind it. She kept saying to me,
"Oh, well, you'll have to make the trees brown."
and I was like, well, no, because they're going to be silhouettes. Like, it's just before sunset when you get all that color in the sky. So naturally, they're going to be black because they're going to be really dark, obviously. And so we had this fight back and forward of me being like, they would be black. You know, you go out any day of the week and see a sunset, and all of the silhouettes of trees are completely black because the sun is usually completely gone down by that point, but you still have that color from the horizon. Anyway, basically what she told me is that if I didn't do it in the browns or the way that she wanted it, because she was the art teacher, that I would get marked down on it, because I was trying to do something that was realism, and she was saying that that wouldn't be realism even though it would. I just wanted to include that because I just remembered that as I was editing and thought that was very important. In that, I almost felt like I was being persecuted because I didn't want to do some flowery, bright, colourful kind of thing, because at the time I was quite depressed, so a lot of my art was very dark, had a lot of dark themes. And I do remember her specifically saying that I would be marked down on not using bright colours. However, in retrospect, it may have been that I needed to show that I could use a wide variety of tones and values and that sort of thing, as opposed to her actually rigidly saying, if you don't use, fluoro pink in your artwork, then you're going to get marked down. But, I was stubborn. I was angsty.
Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
And I'm sure that some of that is to do with my undiagnosed ADHD and autism in school, and not feeling supported in what I was doing, and I guess not feeling like things were catered to everyone, particularly those that struggle with academic work, because of course art isn't just about doing the hands-on part of it, it's also about assignment work as well, and art theory. And of course, because I did not feel supported, I rebelled, and that just ended up making me want to do the darker, more controversial, grim art even more than before. So that was great. So after I left high school, I used to still do painting because I did really enjoy it. Particularly, I enjoyed doing abstract finger painting. It wasn't anything of detail or anything technical. It was just me messing around with paint and kind of understanding the basics of painting and color theory and that sort of thing, but not really using it that much, except to choose colors that would work well together. At the same time, I do remember purchasing quite a few drawing books, like how to draw books, and I did really try to get better at drawing. But I always found the process so tedious and so confusing that I was often just super disheartened by the entire process. As I got older, I tried using YouTube tutorials to learn how to draw, and in order to learn drawing anatomy. I ended up finding the videos incredibly boring, and it was really hard to focus and absorb the information that they were trying to teach me, and I would just zone out really, really easily because it wasn't gripping my attention and it wasn't sparking my enthusiasm or motivation. I did get into doing some Bob Ross paintings and tutorials in early 2016, but when it came to drawing and realism, by that point I had pretty much given up on my artistic dream, which was really devastating. I'd always been like so enamored by these incredible realism artists, and I just desperately wanted to be as good as they were or be able to draw like they could draw. I just wanted so desperately to be talented. I had loved art for so long and seen so many friends or people that I don't know now but did in high school where they were excelling in art, and I felt like I was being left behind in the dust. But I felt really stuck and I felt really unmotivated and just completely disheartened. And at that point, my declining mental health wasn't helping things either. Nothing seemed to stick or absorb into my brain. It really felt like this insurmountable thing that I would just never be able to achieve. It was really crushing. In October of 2018, I started doing a dialectical behavior therapy group program, and I was introduced to art therapy for the first time. When I started, I got really stuck on needing things to be perfect and aesthetically pleasing, but I soon realized,
Shockingly,
that art therapy is not about creating something that's an absolute masterpiece, but it's a lot more about the process and of thinking about what is going on in our minds, thinking about our emotions, but in a different way and channeling it through a different medium. So I feel like that really opened me up to making bad art or art that wasn't perfect, art where it didn't matter how it looked because that's not what the focus was about. So that was quite freeing for me because I would often get stuck in not starting something, and I still do sometimes, where I get stuck where I don't start something because I'm worried so much that it won't be perfect, and so I just
Never do anything.
which seems ridiculous, but it's that really rigid perfection that comes in and tries to ruin everything. It was also through this art therapy that I was using a lot of watercolors, and I really fell in love with watercolors and ended up getting some so that I could do more painting at home. So in around March of 2019 or thereabouts, and despite all of the really negative things I had seen online about tracing being cheating, I ended up making the decision to trace a photo of Richard Armitage as the character Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit, and I traced that onto some watercolor paper and got out my watercolors and I started shading. And shading was the part that I always wanted to get to, but I felt like I never could, that I had to do it the right way and learn anatomy first, learn all of the basics so that I could actually sketch before I could even get to, the good part, the part that I do enjoy the most, the part that I thought I would enjoy the most.
well, guess what?
I'm here to tell you that is straight up bull and is such a damaging view to be perpetuated by artists. Now, I'm not talking about people who blatantly steal other people's artwork or anyone who monetarily gains from that kind of thing, because that's not what this video is about. But I would hate to see the potential of future incredible artists be thrown away because they were beaten down by people on the internet, strangers on the internet, accusing them of cheating just because they need to learn things in a modified or different way. We all learn differently. All of our brains work differently. We can't have a blanket way of learning and expect everyone to do well with it. And that's not fair to expect everyone to do well at it. And I mean, God, the amount of time that I spent feeling guilty, even after doing that first portrait, because I thought, oh, I'm cheating and I'm not a good artist. This is just a fluke and I'm an imposter. I'm going to do terrible next time. It's never going to be replicated. But at the same time, do you know what it also made me feel? Pride, accomplishment, excitement, determination. All the reasons that we create in the first place. After that first portrait, I went on to spend about 35 to 38 hours on my next watercolor portrait, which I will show somewhere here. Yep, that's right. 35 plus hours spent on this one A5 piece of paper because I was so motivated by what I had accomplished previously through tracing. After doing a few more watercolor portraits, I picked up black graphite pencils for the first time and absolutely fell in love with them and ended up doing a bunch of black graphite portraits, one of which, my most recent, is right there. From there, I also started using charcoal, which I have always hated charcoal. Like, not only is it kind of a sensory nightmare, it's just so messy, but since finding charcoal pencils, I have just been in love. After that, I started doing color pencils, which helped strengthen my color theory so much, and all because I had traced and then went into doing shading, and then because I was really enjoying shading and was starting to understand the values of lights and darks and shadows and everything like that, because I was able to do that, I was then able to take that and put that into color theory and figure out colors by just looking at them. And do you know what ended up happening organically from doing all of this tracing and shading all of these portraits? I started free drawing. Yes, I did. I started free drawing and sketching successfully. Here's some proof. Which motivated me even more to keep going and to try new things, try drawing new things, try different kinds of mediums, try painting and drawing on different kinds of materials. I even had interest in my art, which meant that I ended up scanning all of my art pieces and selling giclée fine art prints of my art on Etsy, and also putting up my art on Redbubble as well. So it just goes to show that, one,
don't listen to the internet.
Well, at least not all the time. And I guess part of it is also down to trusting yourself and recognizing that just because you are doing art in a different way to everyone else does not mean that it's cheating. It just means that you need to learn differently, and that's okay. It's okay that we're all going to learn differently. And if you're sitting at home and tracing something and then basically creating the rest of it from scratch, I don't see anything wrong with that. Even if you're tracing characters that already exist, as long as you're not monetarily benefiting from stealing someone else's artwork, especially trying to pass it off as your own, as long as you're not doing those kinds of things, which I think most artists know is not morally okay anyway. If you are genuine about it and you just really want to do well with art, then I feel like this could be something that could benefit you. And I appreciate seeing tutorials online and how easy it is to gain information on different kinds of art and different ways to go about doing things. I use it all the time, it's very helpful, but sometimes it's not going to work for everyone. And maybe I'm just not looking in the right places, but I haven't really seen anyone talking about it, or if they do, it's very much putting artists in purgatory because of wanting to do something different. I think a lot of people start questioning themselves on the validity of what they're doing because some douchebag on the internet has told them that it's cheating, or telling people that it's not real art because they traced an outline. Like, I'm sorry, But my portraits take like 30 hours to do. If I can not spend 10 hours perfecting a outline so that I can get it exactly right so that the anatomy looks correct, like, sorry, but no. The difference is that now I do free drawing as well. So I know I can draw it, but I have ADHD, and adding another 10 hours or something onto an already 30-hour process is not going to work for me. And I shouldn't feel ashamed about that, but I have for a really long time. And that's not fair. That's not fair. People should not be made to feel ashamed, and like where they are made to feel like garbage and like inadequate creators or artists simply because someone else doesn't agree with the way that they do things or the way that they learn, or because they're angry because they spent all this time learning all the anatomy and everything, and then someone comes along and does it differently and they don't like it.
God, I don't like it.
And it's like, well, that's great that you were able to learn all of that information and do it in the standard education way, but you can't expect everyone, especially people of neurodivergence who have different brains, to learn in the exact same manner. It doesn't work. This whole blanket of everything being the same and everyone being taught the same doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's never worked. And I've found since going to therapy and learning more about myself and my neurodivergence that I'm better off working with my mind than against it to achieve far better results. Since then, I've also started crocheting, and it's like, I made this hat because I worked with my own brain and I did it a way that I knew would work for me, instead of beating myself up and forcing myself to do it a particular way because that's what you have to do, when that's a load of bullshit. Anyway, this is what's been in my brain for a while, and the fear of being judged has absolutely stopped me again and again from even thinking about this video, let alone thinking about what I wanted to say or even recording this video. But it's time, and I'm sick of caring what other people think. So
Screw you, haters.
and to everyone else out there, I'm assuming that anyone's watching as well. Just wanted to say, if you are watching this, thank you so much for watching. And it would be really helpful if you would like this video, or you can dislike it. It's a free world. And leave a comment down below with your thoughts on what I've said in this video. Maybe even your own learning experiences where you've done things differently and it's worked out really well for you. I would really love to hear them. Also, I do hope to put out some more videos on this channel. I have started one which is testing Kmart art supplies, but I am still in the midst of filming that because it takes time and things take time to dry, and also my phone decided it wanted to hit itself, so I had to get a new phone. So that hopefully should be coming sometime in the near future. And if you are interested, you can also go to my Etsy shop where you can purchase prints of all of my art. You can also follow me on Instagram at Shelley Fine Art, or on TikTok at Shelley Fine Art. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully. Bye. They're beautiful. Oh, God.